Okay.
Hello and welcome to the Lockdown Beers and Rugby Chat Show. And I'm running late. Sorry, folks. 55 seconds until beer o'clock.
I got a problem.
don't have my beer on me. I got distracted, Arsene, unfortunately. Arsene's running off to get his beer, so I'm going to wait until he comes back. Topics for today: we'll look at the All Black squad. We'll look at the Wallabies numbers. We'll look at the Wallabies squad as well ahead of the Rugby Championship this weekend. Don't forget, there's a link if you'd like to come on screen with us in the on Twitter, or you can give us live chat through YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, as we are 25 seconds away from 5 o'clock and our lockdown beers on a Friday, folks. Yes, the weekend is almost here. Well, it'll be officially here in 15 seconds. Whilst Arsene gets his headphones back on, then I'll hand over to him for 5 seconds while I'm running my beer.
Yeah, no, I don't know what Paul said. So here's just a bit of a malfunction there. Look, there's lockdown time with the family. Yay! So yeah, a bit of a drama start there, bit of a spillage. But anyway, we're all up and running now, and now Paul hopefully doesn't have a spillage.
I don't have a spillage, no, but I am 16 seconds late pouring my beer. I'm sorry, folks. Geez, very tardy of me today. Back with the TUI again. Just about finished off this box of 12. So yes, let me know on Twitter.
You're lucky you can get out. You can get out and go buy some more.
Well, so can you. You can go to the supermarket.
Yeah.
So I guess first up, as you can tell, yes, this is lockdown beers. So because the 09 are still in lockdown, folks, we're going to continue these. Yes, I'm in level 2, but Arsene is still in level 4, and we're here to entertain you and help you get through lockdown, folks. Thank you so much for everyone in Auckland who is doing the right thing and following the rules and are getting themselves through this lockdown. Hey, Joshua, great to see you on Facebook, and Roshita, I've probably put in a GIF or a picture because there's no text, so that doesn't pull through to my broadcast software. So thanks, folks, for joining us. It's great to have you here. I'm just going to grab the All Blacks. What do you call it? Blank squad.
Team.
That's
team
right.
naming.
We can bring it up on the old screen. What were your thoughts on the old team?
It looks pretty strong again. I mean, they've done some rotation there. Obviously, they're saying they wanted to play Artie, but they'd rather err on the side of caution there. With obviously he passed his HIA during the week, but they've decided to give him an extra week to recover from his head knock. So that's all good. And I mean, I think, to me, I don't know. I'm sort of like, I'd like to see some sort of settled squad on the back line, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I can understand Sevu Reece, but George Bridge to me is now basically he fills a position for when we run out of wings. That's my thoughts on his position in the team now. So really, you've got your 3 top striking wings now with Reece, Jordan, and Ioane. And it's like that's where I'd like to see them basically stick with those 3 wings. If they're going to rotate, then rotate amongst those 3. At the end of the day, those guys need to get gel, and if they want to play an expansive game of rugby, the backline needs to start operating a bit better.
Well, interesting that one. This Big Will Rugby says he thinks it's a good team, very happy with the selections. Look, I think with the number of games we've got, obviously the 5 Rugby Championship games, followed up by the USA, obviously a Tier 2 game, and then 4 Tier 1 games. Yes, it includes Italy, I think, in there. But you've there's 9. I think it's something like 9 games over 12 or 10 or 12 weekends. Everybody in that squad is going to get at least 2 games. I would say so. And I don't think they see Bridge as the kind of player that you do. I think that he is still considered a very thinking player. And a bit like a sort of Ben Smith kind of style rugby brain player, and I think that they think there's a lot more from him. We've got KRF trying to join us, but unfortunately, mate, your video's not coming through, so we can't add you in if your video doesn't come through. But clearly, Mr. Harris has been out and about selling his cans of fizzy drink. as being an essential service, making sure that everyone is duly refreshed. But how are you doing, sir? Had a good day?
Yeah, very good, thanks, guys. But no, not selling any fizz at all. Actually, just been up to the shops just to pick up some supplies, mate. So unfortunately, one of those supplies wasn't a beer. So sorry about that.
What's your thoughts on Mr. Bridges' continued selection there? I'm sort of saying is like, to me, he's a tier down from your Jordan, Rico, and Severis, and I'd like to see them actually start to play a more consistent backline to actually start seeing something gel there, rather than, if they're going to play an expansive game, you can't keep chopping and changing your backline, can you?
I think with the Pumas, they're expecting a lot of bombs, and they quite like the fact that he actually takes a lot of high kicks. Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you though, Ashwin. I don't think he's got the same sort of X factor as a Sevu Reece or a Rico Ioane Halstead. Even if you got somebody like Salesi Rayasi, I don't think he's got that sort of X factor either. But I suppose he's like your safe option. To me, he's probably too much of a conservative option. That's not a criticism of the guy. If you read some other Auckland-based forums or some guys out of Auckland, boy, he cops a lot of bagging, but he's probably just one of those players that, he's probably not going to beat a player one-on-one. He'll finish reasonably well, and he'll do most things. He's a safe option. Is what I'm saying.
Safe option.
Wow, damning with faint praise there. He'll finish reasonably well. Wow, I think he's a great finisher. I think he's
a great finisher on the end of a back line.
Yeah, I mean to say what I meant by that, Paul. I mean to say, if he was basically given, I don't know, 60 or 70, 80 meters and with an opportunity, I don't know if he's got the top end pace to go all the way. Where if Sevu Reece or Rico are quite capable of doing something quite miraculous because they've just got top end pace. I really don't know if George has got that same top end pace. But listen, like I say, I don't want to make this sound like a criticism. I do think he's a good footballer, but a solid footballer, nothing more.
I see. I disagree. I think he's a footballer in the same way that Ben Smith was a footballer, a very intelligent player. In that kind of sense.
But Paul, you keep mentioning him. You keep mentioning him in the vein of Ben Smith, but Ben Smith was an exceptional footballer. He's not. No, you can't. You're chalk and cheese, mate. It was Ben from accounts, and he didn't make mistakes. But on top of that, he also did some amazing touches and execution of skill factor as well. They're not the same player at all.
Yeah. During that time or that period, from about 2013, 2014 to about 2018, 2019, Ben Smith was pretty amazing. 84 odd games for New Zealand, and probably unquestionably, a lot of people would say Christian Cullen is the best ever All Black fullback. I reckon Christian Cullen then comes into that second place category. I never ever saw George Napier, but I understand he was a great fullback as well. Man, I don't think when you're talking great All Black wings, George Bridge comes into that conversation. In fact, probably not even in the top 20 wings.
Yeah. Oh, not yet. I don't think he doesn't. Absolutely. I'll agree with you on that one. He's. I'm trying. I'll dig out in a second how many caps he's got. But yeah, no, he's definitely not in any all-time kind of point of view. Agreed. Joshua mentions that George Bridge had quite a few injuries this year, and that's interrupted his season. That might also be part of it. Looking at the rest of the team, though, actually, look, the fact that Cody Taylor and Ardy Surveyor were available for this game, but the management have said no because they want to urge on the side of caution because of concussion. I think that's a fantastic move and credit to the coaches in doing that. Personally, I've been talking there about continuity of selection. Well, look, you've got the Bowden Barrett, Havili, Anton Leonard-Brown, and Geordie. That central piece in the back line is the same again. I think they are trying to build a bit of a combination between Havili and Anton Leonard-Brown in there. In that piece, so basically it's basically injury enforce kind of change in the forwards and then rotation in the backs, isn't it? So far, a bit. Be interesting to see is Bowden Barrett going to start at 10 for all 5 Rugby Championship games, or are they going to give DMAC a start there in the next game against Argentina? It's going to we have to wait and see on that one, because I'm not sure we can play 5 Test matches in 5 weekends. Personally, I think that's a bit of an ask.
Seriously, Paul, I'd play him in all 5 tests. I mean, it's like, to be honest, I wouldn't say his position is a high attrition position.
He's not a forward.
He's not, yeah, exactly. He's not a forward, and he's got a great skill set. But what I might do is maybe at some stage decrease his minutes against the Pumas and the Pumas in both tests. But I think this is your perfect ability for him to basically bed in as a halfback or get a combination with either Weber or TJ Perenara, whoever they decide to go with, especially in those Springbok tests.
Yeah, I totally agree, actually. I mean, like, if you want to sort of like lessen the load on the field, there's times in the game where, especially with Geordie at the back, who obviously does very capable of being in that first 5 role as well. He's done it for the Canes. Is that, so at times in the game you can pop Bowden out back and Geordie up front, sort of thing. So you can manage him on field. Even I don't think it's a high attrition role. So the only issues that you have with backs is that they pull a hammy while they're running down the field. You're not going to be knocked about. More of a concern for me is the fact is that I see that the All Blacks have to go out there and win against Argentina and win well this weekend, because you've got to give Kira Ioane and Dalton Papali'i a rest before they go into the South Africans. Otherwise, they're going to be absolutely stuffed. Brodie Retallick, he hasn't played a lot of rugby, so he's coming back. He might get away with it, but Kira and Dalton have been harbouring quite a huge load. So yeah, I was sort of thinking that the All Blacks need to have a convincing win this week so that they can actually get a rest next week.
True. Those players do. Joshua says don't use Geordie at 10, and Aaron says Geordie's got to stay on the field first. That is true.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Hey, look, the other concern, I was going to say, the other concern for me is the fact that, although you've obviously alluded to Cody Taylor, but he passed his tests and they're just erring on the side of safety and giving him another week off. But when we look at Takiaho, when he came on last week, the line out went a bit pear-shaped. They missed the targets. Whether it's the jumper's fault or the thrower's fault, hey, I don't know. But I know that it did go a little bit pear-shaped last week. And now you've got Amua and Takiaho as your options there. So a huge amount of inexperience in that number 2 position. So that's the biggest probably concern for me going into the game this weekend. Not their ability around the field. I mean, we know Takiaho and Amua's abilities around the field. But that line out option there and securing that ball at line out time would be a bit of a concern after.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that has never been said in the media or by the coaching staff is that there is definitely a rebuilding phase going on with players like Amua, Takiaho, who are both very inexperienced. I'm also. It's good that Sam Whitelock will be available for the 5th Test match, for the final Test match of the Rugby Championship, because again, with Patrick Tuipulotu, looks like he's not playing, not being selected again. So perhaps he's still carrying that injury. You've only got 3 fit locks, so yeah, this squad is pretty thin in a couple of areas. Basically, number 10, lock, and hooker as well if they do lose a player. So yes, there are some. There are some little things like that in there. Hoskins to Tutu, yep, he seems to have dropped out of favour, doesn't he? Doesn't even make the bench this time. Blackadder back on the bench there. So a bit of second season syndrome from him, I think, and needs to, the sort of wow factor and shock factor of him arriving, maybe a bit sort of needs to kind of settle into being a professional, get used to it.
Well, I think I can't remember where I made the comment. I mean, with Hoskins, it's just like we saw it in the Super Rugby before, early in the season. Then we went to the Aotearoa and Trans-Tasman. Is that his form this year hasn't been what it was last year. I think even at times within the Blues team, Akira was actually getting selected ahead of him at number 8, where he's sort of like, that Akira at 6 and Hoskins at 8. Akira got picked a couple of times ahead of him at 8, and they had a different balance to the back row, especially when Tom Robinson was available. So, yeah, I think, much like Akira, we sort of didn't quite have that consistency, and we've seen that consistency this year. It's something that Hoskins probably needs to bring to his game and look at and bring consistency to his game at a high level and perform week after week after week.
Yeah, but I think at this stage we can, for Akira, that was over several seasons before he nailed it, and we could tell that, or the accusations anyway from a lot of us about his attitude towards training and in the game. With Sotutu, I think it's at the moment we can hold off on that kind of thing and say, look, it's him learning to be a professional rugby player and having had a much shorter pre-season and perhaps never really got into the season properly. As an All Black, you get a shorter pre-season, so maybe there's an element of that kind of going on there with him, and hopefully we'll see him return next year. I'm glass half full rather than glass half empty view there.
Yeah, Paul, I was going to say the other thing that's happened, all of a sudden you've got a 6 and a 7 that have cemented their place. Adi Savia has all of a sudden made it basically too hard for him to leave it out because he's done well enough in that 8 jersey since Kieran Reid has basically moved on, and the only real opportunities that Hoskins has had is probably when there has been a little bit of an injury. But because of the form in Super Rugby, I think Jacobson, beg your pardon, has jumped the queue.
Yep, I remember. Jacobson is an ex under 20s captain, I think. So he's been somebody that's been on the radar and for a long time and kind of lined up for this. It was only concussion from memory that stopped him from going to the Rugby World Cup with the All Blacks. So and then he took some time to get back up and running from that. So yeah, I mean we've got options in those places. It's just a lot of inexperienced options at the moment, which I guess we can say probably across the park with this side. So there you go, folks. Yeah, strong side. Looking forward to the game on Sunday. We'll be straight after the final whistle. We'll have post-match reaction to the game. So do join us for that. We'll be back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. but not Sunday because we've got the rugby games in the evening. I think we'll probably skip the rugby chat for that one. Yeah, 2 games in the evening. That's right.
2 games. Yeah, 2 games. Yep. I better get my fingers around the right way.
Are up on the Facebook page, New Zealand Sport Radio Facebook page, and at Driving Maul on Twitter. You can see my predictions for the Rugby Championship, top 14, and also the Curry Cup final as well. So they're on there if you want to go have a look and give me your thoughts on those. Aaron says Jacobson unproven at this stage. Yep, no, I'm not saying yes. Yes, he is unproven. He hasn't got the experience at this stage. But as I say, someone who for all the way through the age grades has been keeping people have been keeping an eye on him and on his progress. So that's that side of things. Have you seen what the Wallabies are doing with their numbers on their jerseys?
Oh yeah, they got a pattern in them.
A pattern in them. Jeez. What Arsham really means is that they're taking First Nation, First Nation, or I guess what people previously was called Aborigine art is has been used on the numbers. I think it's a fantastic tip to the First Nations there and acknowledgement of that. I do like. I think it looks fantastic and a bit like their Indigenous jersey, which is their second jersey as well.
Listen, very, very, very much got Dave Rennie's fingerprints all over it. If you think back to when he first took over the Chiefs, that cultural aspect was a really big part of the Waikato Chiefs mana, and it looks as though he's basically brought the same to that Australian jersey, and I think it's a great thing.
What about seeing something similar on the All Blacks jersey with the Maori design on the numbers?
Isn't it? I thought not in the numbers. I thought it was actually. I've seen some All Blacks jerseys where they've actually embossed a sort of Maori design into the shirt.
Yep, embedded it in the jersey.
It's embedded in the jersey. So yeah, so it's already happened. It's just not in the number. It's actually on the jersey.
Oh, we kind of two different shades of black, kind of thing.
Yeah. So, but you've got that sort of the sort of like a Maori design through it. Yeah.
Yeah, not to also forget you've pretty much got the well, obviously the haka that's they've made their own haka at the end of the day, so that's it's pretty much embedded in their culture, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. So from an Australian perspective, I think there's just a little bit of sensible belonging, but also an acknowledgement to basically, well, or can I say this word, the local tangata whenua, or the people of the land in Australia.
Yep. Aaron says, what are we, fashion consultants, rugby critics? Look, stop telling us to stay in our lane, mate. All lanes are my lane. If I want to talk fashion, I can talk fashion. Just because I'm a rugby critic doesn't mean I can't talk fashion or politics or dance moves. Jeez. God, dear me, try and put me in my place, will you? Not allowed. No. Go on, Ashwin.
No, that's right. That's right. That's all good. That's good.
We've also had the Wallabies side has been announced and that's absolutely useless as a screen share because you can't read it. They've not done a graphic which I can share nicely, unfortunately, and that that screen share doesn't work. So I'll just quickly read out the side. So Angus Bell, Fanga, Alan Alatoa across that front row. By the way, that's Alan Alatoa's last game of the year, apparently, which is an interesting one.
Is that then, Tim?
He goes on paternity leave.
Oh, right.
After this, which I can understand him missing the rest of the Rugby Championship, but I'm a bit surprised he's not going on the November tour. So interesting one. Rodder and Phillip in the engine room. Swinton, Hooper and Valentini are the Lucies. McDermott and Quaid Cooper at 9 and 10. We then got Karevi and Ikitau in the centres. Corabetti, Kellaway and Tom Banks as your back three. Off the bench, Kotu'u on debut. Slipper, Tupu, Leota again on debut, Pete Samu, White, Hodge, and Pataya. So this side is getting flogged by the box. 21 plus spanking coming up, says Big Will Rugby. Boys, a 21-point spanking, or what are your thoughts on this one?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, you know what? It could end up being a 20-point spread, but I think it'll be more of a grind. I think the Springboks won't deviate too far from the way that they've been playing. I think they'll just basically choke them to death. And a lot of their one thing I can guarantee, I think if they do get dominance, I think it'll basically come through their forward pack. I mean, so if you look at the rugby that they've played this year, how many tries have they scored in total? You know, they probably average 1 or 2 tries a game thus far this season.
They actually get more tries than you think, do South Africa. It's even though they're and I think with the way that the Wallabies have been giving up interception tries, I think whilst I'm not saying I'm not saying the South Africans will make many tries. I wouldn't be surprised they pick up a couple of interception tries in there and then kick to the corner and maul over for a couple as well. So yeah, it could be, but yeah, the Wallabies really need to remove those errors from their game. Those giving up those interception tries, because otherwise that'll kill them.
Yeah, as I said, because we've just basically played like the All Blacks playing Australia, Springboks playing Lions and only in Argentina. It's really hard to gauge where teams are at. Are the All Blacks actually playing at a quite a good level, and therefore the Australians are behind, or do the Australians suck? And so the All Blacks look better than they are. And really, those answers are really going to come in the next couple of weeks. On the surface of it, you'd have to say, particularly with the team that the Springboks have picked, they'll just bash them up front, and eventually in the last 20, they'll overpower them, and maybe that's where the 20 points will come from. But early on, it's just going to be, as you Steve's word, grind, isn't it?
Yeah, that's.
I think the Wallabies. We've praised Dave Rennie's hand on getting Indigenous sort of artwork into the numbers, but the reality is the fact that he keeps leaving Tupou on Taniela Tupou on the bench is just a shocker. At the end of the day, the fact that the Wallabies have lost a game by the time the 20 minutes is up, what's the point in bringing him on then? 30 or 20 left, you lost the game against the All Blacks. What's the point? Get him on there. He's got to be on there. You've got to try and get more out of him.
I'm really also staggered with their loose forward trio that, Pete Samu showed enough to me when he came off the bench what he actually brought to this team. He just gave them a little bit more, pace and dynamics.
Yeah.
All you're really doing at the moment is just basically putting such a workload on Hooper, who's just been their outstanding player of the year thus far, and you're asking him to do more work because the other two, with the greatest respect, Valentini and Swinton, haven't really stood up at this level so far. We've seen it in bursts, but not enough. And he's just pretty much played a lone hand, unfortunately, Hooper. But no, I just think the Springboks will just have far too much power. I don't think it'll be anything as convincing as what the All Blacks have put on the Wallabies, but it'll just be in a different style.
Yeah, it'll be in a different style. Yeah, exactly. And then basically, because on the surface of it, that's what we can assume. And then basically in a couple of weeks, we'll see which style's a winning style of rugby. Because I know the South Africans get a hard time. They're probably getting a bit full of themselves, some of the guys in the Facebook chat rooms and the like. But at the end of the day, and I posted this on Facebook as well, who cares whether you win by 1 point and there's 6 penalties? If you win the game, you win the game. The game's about winning. It's not about attractive flowing rugby. It's about winning. That's what sports is about. And it's just like we get lost in this, but the All Blacks play an attractive brand of rugby. It's like, I'd rather have a W next to my name.
True, but there is also an element of it is an entertainment. It's not just a sport nowadays, and you've got to. And so there is an entertainment piece. And
I can tell you this now, Paul. It can be about entertainment, and then if you're going to say it's about entertainment, it's about the dollars. The dollar's going to disappear if those W's don't keep coming.
True. I'm just going to invite Con on. How you doing, sir?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Good to see you. Sorry, I came in just probably when you're about to sign off.
No, we've got a couple of minutes left, but just need to check. Is that a Monteith's I saw waving around in your hand?
It is actually. I'm just pinching my mum's beers now that we're level 2 down south. So I got a great. It's actually pretty bloody good. Highly recommend it. It's a beer podcast.
Hey, more importantly, it's just like the awesome spacey machine in the background.
What's that? Sorry? Oh, yeah, that's right.
The spacey machine in the background.
Actually, yeah, that's right.
It's broken.
This is my mum's house. Like, yeah, she's got the pool table and all that shit. And I don't get invited around here very often, though. So it's not bad. It's not bad.
It's in the fun zone. the pool table is like, jeez. My son will still get bored.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
We're all coming around your mum's house once we're out of lockdown.
Yeah, that's right. If you guys are down in Christchurch, just hit me up. It's absolutely. I'm not sure if you're welcome around here.
We'll go and stay with your mum.
I'll meet you.
Okay.
You stay with your mum.
Yeah, that's right.
Dear me. So, I just, on that one, we saw a bit surprised they've gone with they haven't gone with the 6-2 split because, as Bo has said, their issues have been up front and physicality with the All Blacks, and up against the Springboks. I think they're going to need all the reserves and all the cavalry they can get off that bench. So, I'd have probably gone with the 6-2 bench for this game for the Wallabies, but he hasn't, and I think as you guys have said, they're going to get beaten up front.
I don't think they can afford to try and take the Springboks on. I just think they've got to try and go away from contact whenever they can to actually speed the games up. If you watch the way the Springboks were against
front.
the Lions, against the Pumas, the pace of the game suited them. It was played at such a stagnant rate that it actually suited them. I just think they've actually got to go a little bit wider away from contact, and that's why I think Pete Samu would have been an ideal player. If you can get him out in the open, ranging a little bit wide, he can be a bit of a menace, a little bit like an Akira Ioane. I just think really on this one, I've given him a lot of tick in the boxes over some things that he's done, but I think his selection is a little bit conservative. Also, people would say Quade Cooper might be the go. I thought, yeah, I'm just really unsure about that selection as well. He's been out of top level rugby so long, and boy, if you think he's going to be targeted, of course he's going to be targeted.
The other thing on Samu, though, I mean, you got to look at he was out of the Crusaders and the like. When he played for the Crusaders, you see what the ability that he has. Exactly the things that you're talking about, Steve, with the creativeness that he has and the ball skills that he has, and that's what they're going to need against the Springboks. They're not going to win it up front. They're going to have to use their creativity, which they actually do have, and it's just like that's why you need a Tupou on there and you need a Samu. Yeah, sorry,
maybe that's what they. No, you're good, guys. Maybe that's what they need. I sort of reflected that. I think confidence at 10 is going to be critical because they're going to have to do some very interesting tactical kicking. I think to try and get behind the Springbok rush defence. I think they need. I mean, Lolesio. I mean, I think most people would say he's got potential, but it's just his confidence and being on a pack that's moving backwards is going to be just so difficult. I'm just surprised that he's starting Quade, and I guess if they're digging up relics, why don't they dust off old Iceman Foley, because he's more recently been a starting 10. But yeah, maybe he's got something else to do on Sunday.
Well, I have heard some rumours that Bernard Foley could be back with the Waratahs next year. So wait and see on that one.
Who would you start if you didn't start? I mean, you can't really stop Lolesio, but who would you start with if you didn't start Cooper? Would you put Hodge in there at first 5?
Yes.
You'd put Hodge in there.
Yeah, that seemed like the choice that I would have thought would have happened. I think they've obviously he's obviously pretty concerned about Lolesio. I think they've given him plenty of time. He did. I think we forget how well he did play. He probably won that series for them against France. I mean, he wasn't incredible, but he was very solid. And so without Lolesio, I think that French series would have been lost. Obviously, James O'Connor's better, but I think they're obviously concerned enough. It's a pretty big statement on what they think of Lolesio to put Quade starting 10, which is a bit of a shame for him, I think.
Yep. It's going to be, I think Josh said, Springboks line will be challenged by Cooper, Karevi and McDermott. And I think that's going to be one of the interesting is that if they do go after Cooper and leave McDermott holes to go through, he'll take them all day long. So I guess that's going to help
actually,
Cooper.
Paul, both sides, right? If they go after Cooper, you've got McDermott on the inside, and then you've got Ikitau. I hope I got the name right.
Karevi and then Ikitau.
Karevi and Ikitau on the other side. So they have to be a little bit careful about just going in there and trying to shut Cooper down and forgetting about outside of him left and right.
Listen, as a halfback made a bigger impression than McDermott. When you consider in 6 tests only, you'd probably have to think a long way back of a halfback that basically came into international rugby and you just went, wow. Even it probably took even the great Aaron Smith time for us to all work out, gee, boy, this kid's got something special. But I think with McDermott, you could even see bits of it last year, and you thought but he wasn't getting that game time because Nick White was keeping him out.
Mm. But he's a very flash player as well, isn't he? Whereas Aaron Smith's about his passing, so it doesn't jump out at you quite so obviously as the breaks that McDermott does. Admittedly, but yeah, you're quite right. It's fantastic. 8 tests so far. this will be his 9th test, and to have cemented the jersey as your own after so few tests is impressive. Impressive play by him.
He was the best halfback on the field last weekend by a long way.
Yep.
Cool. Yep.
A little shout out, folks. Don't forget the Rugby World Cup qualifiers still happening this weekend as the USA take on Canada. No idea if or how you can actually watch that game. It was behind a paywall, $20 pay-per-view last weekend. So yeah, good luck.
That was a terrible call, wasn't it?
Tell him he's dreaming.
You're dreaming, mate.
They would have made $100 on that, wouldn't they? They would have got $100.
Yeah. Oh no! Hang on. All the family members probably subscribed so they could watch their boys run around.
Yeah, so a little bit more. Yeah, so at least $60.
I don't know how Sky did that algorithm. Was it pay? Was it behind a Sky paywall?
No, it wasn't. To be fair, it wasn't Sky.
So just
Sky
free online. Okay. Well, there we go.
Some strange small streaming service.
Have you been able to catch the highlights? I'm really keen to catch the highlights from the previous weekend. I just haven't seen them anywhere.
And again, no, I've not been able to find them anywhere either. So yeah, well done, World Rugby. So yeah, good luck to both the USA and Canada in that one. Obviously, Canada going in with a big lead after that first game, very surprising to everybody. Yeah, we'll see if the USA can turn that round or not.
Yeah, I was just going to say I was just totally shocked at the result because Canada's been sort of mud for a couple of years, haven't they? And so that one sort of like came out and punched you in the nose.
Yeah, it's crazy. The American embassy staff, maybe. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well played.
And now that the NFL's kicked off this weekend, they've all decided to not bother with the second game.
Just one question for you guys. I think I've got a bit of a delay on this, but I'm not sure if this is sort of a drive and maul, no. But do you guys do sort of score predictions at all for the weekend's games for tests? So my predictions are all up on Twitter and Facebook right now. Cool.
For the Rugby Championship, the Curry Cup, and the top 14. So those are all available on Twitter and Facebook. But yeah, we can go around the houses on that one. Arspring, do you want to give us your
really interesting one? Yeah.
Who do you think out of the two Rugby Championship games and by how many points?
Oh, look, I think the All Blacks really, in light of what I said before as well, it's just like the All Blacks by 30, at least.
Well,
and that need to. So that's probably more of a wish as well. But I think, the Springboks, look, at the end of the day, you feel like they're going to suck the gas out of the Australians. So it's really difficult to tell because in the last 20, the Springboks could put on a few points, last 20, 15 minutes, So, hey, Springboks by 15?
Stephen?
Yeah, I'll go to that game first. I'm going by the Springboks by 12 and under in that game. I think they'll be like playing your younger brother, just at arm's length, if you know what I mean. Yeah, get out of my face, sort of thing. I can only really base on what I've seen of the Springboks this year, and I think back to last year when it took the All Blacks in that. Think of that last test where it was a bit of a grind. Took the All Blacks a bit of time to really put points on them, and I think we'll probably see something similar. So I'm thinking 30 plus at the end of the day. I see you've left the Oracle Paul until the end for the last predictions this evening, and knowing Paul, he'll put it all on the line and go out with a $1 bet at the TAB. No doubt, but
$3 bets, $3 bets.
Yeah.
So I've gone by. I've said New Zealand, but New Zealand and South Africa both by 15.
You missed Con.
Oh, well, yeah, do me first. Then I'm going to go to Con.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad.
So Con, now you've heard all our opinions. What do you think?
I was just telling my mum to go away.
Oh, Mum!
No. I'm not going to get fish and chips now. That's the problem. I'm actually more intrigued as to the South Africa Australian game. I have to say, there's a big part of me that wants Australia to win, but I love I know you guys probably touched on this earlier, but I do love like a pinnacle game, and I think if South Africa go back to back and New Zealand go back to back, that first game will be huge. But I am picking South Africa to do it by about 9 or 10. I think Australia are really good at scoring a couple of tries when it doesn't count for anything, and so I think I think South Africa will get ahead by about 20, and then Australia will claw it back by about 12. And so I think it'll be comfortable, but it'll be close. Even I'd love for it to be just a great game, and it'll be fascinating. And I think I'm close to you, Ashwin. I think I think the All Blacks have got a lot to prove. They won't be ambushed this time, although I'm sure they were up for it last time. And I think it's going to be about 25. Yeah, it'll be a good game though. I'm looking forward to both of them. It's going to be great.
So there you go, folks. Everybody is going for the same teams to win. There's no one's going for an upset.
Part of the sweep should be: are we going to be awake at the end of the South Africa-Australia game? Is John on the line? Is John on the line?
Through the
Didn't you just say a moment ago that it was, as I tuned in, I was in the lobby and I was yelling at the camera, but you were saying about how only the W matters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But for a neutral, absolutely. And if you're a South African and all that matters is W. If you're an All Black, right, all that matters is the W. We don't really care whether it's a grind or not.
Here's a question. Here's a question. If the South Africans lose, what does it do to their psyche?
Oh, it's bad.
I'll be
taking anyway. You continue.
Oh no! I'll tell you what will happen if they lose. They will basically say, "Oh, Colby wasn't playing."
They've got such a good team though. They've pretty, apart from Colby and I think Stephen Toy. I mean, they're very fortunate with their ability to select. I mean, I don't think any of the other rugby championship teams have been as fortunate with injury, which is usually not the case after a Lions tour, as them. So they should be pretty. You might be right about they say that, but they don't have too many excuses.
I think they're still a lock or two down. Or one. I think Steinman still is recovering from throwing petrol over a barbecue in Ireland. So I don't think he's. I think he's missing. So yeah. But you're right. You're right. This is as strong a team as the Springboks can select. There's no messing around with this game. If they lose this one, there are no excuses, and yeah, it would be a massive blow to their psyche, and be a massive blow to the Springbok or to the South African Twitter community more than anything else.
Hey, I tell you what, though. If if miracles happen and the Australians are able to tip them over, what about the Australian psyche? They'll be going, oh crap. Wouldn't it be great if we could play the All Blacks now? Because part of their problem is the fact that they just don't have the belief in them to win, right? They do some good stuff, and then they make some little tiny errors, and I think that's a confidence thing.
Whilst I said I cannot see Australia beating South Africa, because I can't see how it's going to happen.
We've got
more points.
So on that note. And obviously we'll clip that so that when the Wallabies do win, and I can play that straight after the game. But thank you, boys, and again, thank you to 09 for having to go through this lockdown and keeping the rest of us safe. Please do follow the rules, and the numbers going the right way from what I see. And thank you, everybody. Not that I've actually seen the numbers today, but well done, Auckland. Don't believe all these anti-Auckland comments that people dredge up. There's always the odd idiot.
Haven't heard any.
And thank you, Ashwin, Stephen, and Con for joining me. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. for Lockdown Beers. Yes, it's a Saturday, so you're not working, so there's even less excuses for not making it on time tomorrow.